your career revolution presented by the Entrepreneur Source. My name is Mike Toper, and we have got a fantastic episode today with two experts on our topic of discussion. You're not going to get any expertise like this anywhere else. First of all, let me bring in Tamara Loring, my co-host. She is the Chief of Brand Ideology for the Entrepreneur Source. Tamara, how are we doing today?
I am so thrilled to be on today's call. Thank you so much for introducing me.
And let's bring in our special guest, Heather Christie. And she's been around the block here. She is the president of Evolve Glover. She is an executive and leadership coach. She's been doing that for over 18 years. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling today?
Doing great. Thanks, Mike. It's good to be here.
And so today, our whole topic of discussion is to talk about career ownership, along with with coaching and the value of coaching, which again is something that both Heather and Tamara have a vast amount of experience in. And Tamara, can you just talk a little bit about that? I mean, your background is vast when it comes to career coaching.
Absolutely. Yes, I can't believe that I've actually been with the Entrepreneur Source for over 21 years. And for those of you who don't know, the Entrepreneur Source is actually a coaching organization. And so I've been thrilled to be able to be at the point where I now get to be the coach's coach. So that's a little bit about me and the Entrepreneur Source.
And Heather, I mean, you're a mover and shaker. And I want to ask you a little about this to start because you have experience in dealing with career coaching and kind of taking ownership of your own path. Can you tell us a little bit about that in the fact that you had an established career and then decided that you needed a change and you found the value of coaching yourself? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure, Mike. So I like to refer to myself as a recovering attorney. And I practiced law for about 10 years before I found my way into the world of coaching as a business. And it was only through professional coaching that I received back in 2001 that that opened my mind to the possibility of moving to another career. And even though that's not why I got coaching, I originally went to just a professional coaching organization when I was practicing law, but it rocked my world. And I just discovered a lot more about myself and found this path. And I didn't even know that business and executive coaching was a thing back in 2005. So it was really fortuitous that I had the opportunity to be coached and then also find that there was a coaching profession that I could get involved with. So I definitely had that opportunity, like Tamara was speaking about.
Yeah, and that kind of coincides with one of the chapters of the book that the Entrepreneur Source recently put out. Tamara, we love it. Your Career Revolution: Reimagine and Reclaim the Life of Your Dreams. And dreams. And one of the chapters is called "No One Needs to Walk Alone," and that's some of what TES talks about, the fact that it is helpful to have somebody or to get a little bit of guidance. Isn't that right, Tamara?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, chapter 5 of our book talks about coaching in particular. When I think about a lot of the people who we work with, they don't even necessarily know that they're looking for coaching, but they're seeking for something. They just keep on feeling that, goodness, there has to be a better way. And so we call them seekers. They don't know themselves yet what they're looking for. But when we get to engage with them, the power of coaching just manifests itself. It's by us creating the safe space where they can start dreaming again about maybe what's possible. And it's amazing to watch because people have all these limiting beliefs about, oh, I cannot dare to dream because that's not realistic for me. And coaching, Heather, I think you're the one who says it really helps somebody find the genius within. And it seems so counterintuitive because people think, I'm looking for the answers outside of myself. If I knew the answers, my life would be different. And yet, with coaching, they start to realize that the answer is within themselves, and they can start creating a vision or a North Star for what that needs to be. And that just is one example of the power of coaching. I mean, my goodness, I think in the book we talk about celebrities having a coach. So even if the most successful people on the planet refer to a coach or use the help of a coach, why wouldn't the average person do that?
Yeah, and Heather, I mean, you went you went from yourself, you went to what, coaching clients, coaching juries, to coaching, big executives and CEOs and these types. I want to ask you, and I'll ask both of you and Tamara as well, but Heather, where do you see, or I should say, what do you see as the value of coaching? And what is the purpose that you would see for somebody to interact with a career ownership coach?
So the value of coaching, there's so much there, Mike. But to be succinct for you, I would say first and foremost, it's clarity. And as Tamara said, as a coach, I firmly believe that each of you have your genius within, right? We all do. And what's crazy is we grow up in a system that really teaches us to look for the external answers. And so a great coach will ask you the right questions, ask you the questions that maybe you didn't think of, or maybe that you don't even have the confidence to answer for yourself. But a great coach will hold a space for you to allow you the time to really get introspective, to know that inner self, to be able to dive deep and really realize what's most important for you. And so this concept of coaching, I feel like there's really kind of, I have a 3-part formula that you can use in any coaching, that's so powerful. First and foremost is what result you're after, right? So the clarity of the results. What is it that you really want? Like Tamara said, the seekers don't even necessarily know what they're seeking. I certainly didn't at the time. But to have somebody help you along the path for you to determine, not them, but for you to determine what it is you want. What do you want to get? And then once you know the result, it's kind of like, here's my destination, here's what I want. Then you got to figure out, so what do I need to do to get there? Well, what you need to do is actually the easy part of the formula. The other side of it is, what sort of beliefs do I need to have to be able to achieve this new result? And that's where I think a coach can really help uncover, what is your current belief system? What is it that you're thinking? What is the belief that you have about yourself, about the environment, about your abilities, your worth, all of it, and help you uncover some of those beliefs that you might not even know that you're holding, that are limiting you from whatever that next step is. So I think, that's a long answer, and I probably could go on and on and on about the value that I personally have received from coaching, but the ability to literally look and find those answers within it's amazing.
No, and hey, it should be a long answer. We're talking about career, right? And lifetime stuff. This
Yeah.
should be more than a sentence. So that's definitely valuable. And Tamara, I mean, you talk about it on the different episodes, but for our purposes here is, from your experience, what do you see as the purpose for somebody to even just start interacting with a career ownership coach?
Absolutely. And I love what Heather just spoke about. She's the one who taught me the bar formula, saying if you're not getting the results in your life, there are two things missing. It's either your belief around what you need to do, or belief times actions, right? Or the actions that you're not doing. And if those two aren't in sync, you will not have the results that you need. So the value of coaching is really about discovery and reaching a point of clarity. What the book talks about is, in order to be able to dream, you need to be able to trust the person that you're working with, right? So that is foundational. It's essential, because if you don't trust their motivations, you will wonder whether they're challenging you for their sake or your sake. But once you trust that they have no ulterior motives, and it's all about you being better, and that safe space has been earned, right? Trust has been earned. That's when you get to challenge people's beliefs and their mindsets. That is when paradigm shifts start occurring, where they start creating things and seeing things that they couldn't see for themselves. It's really starting to see beyond your blind spots. And then there are also F words to contend with. We talk about it in the book. People feel like, if it's a fear-free state, I will know how to move forward. And by definition, coaching is going to take you out of your current comfort zone. And if you're out of your current comfort zone, it's going to be maybe a little fearful. So it's not about not having fear, but it's about having clarity about what you need to do, and then the courage to take the first step, the second step, and the third step. And this is what I love about coaching, because many times it's about borrowed belief, helping somebody believe in themselves maybe more than they do in that moment. Other times it's about pushing them out of their comfort zone because of the results that they say that they want. But you can only do that if you've built that relationship and if you have that trust. So those are the things that come to mind for me, Mike.
Well, Tamara, you mentioned a couple of themes there that I picked out, and it was trust and it was fear. But one of the things that we had been discussing before we even recorded this podcast was the question of why wouldn't somebody seek out a coach? And we've talked about some of the value of having a coach, not just in career, but really anything that they have. But the big question is, what is stopping them? I mean, Heather, do you have any insight into that?
Well, sure. I think fear is the number one thing that stops us from anything, right? And so, really getting clear on what that fear is. What is it that you're worried about? You can either stay in a place of confusion or you can make a decision. And the word decision comes from the Latin word that literally means to cut off. So once you make that decision, you've cut off all alternatives. Like, I'm not going to be in confusion anymore. I'm actually going to find some answers for myself. I think Tamara brought up a really good point is if you don't know who to go to, right, you really want to have this relationship of trust. But here's the thing. Don't count someone out before you have that conversation. So get on the phone, have the conversation with a career ownership coach, and just see if it's the right fit. See if they're asking you the right questions. And here's a good way to tell is if you actually get past that barrier of fear, which is this perception that something could go wrong. Well, guess what? You don't have to do anything other than make the phone call. You know what I mean?
People are comfortable. They like being comfortable, right?
Of course they do. And coaching, by virtue of getting coached, you are actually stepping your toe into the unknown. But here's the beautiful thing about the unknown. The unknown is within, and it's actually what you've got anyway. So why not just explore it and figure out what it is? So it's kind of like, don't worry about going all the way to the end. We tend to make things bigger than they are. So we try to go fast forward all the way. Oh my God, they're going to ask me to sign a contract or buy a business or quit my job or whatever you're thinking, whatever that fear is for you. It's different for everyone. But here's the thing. You don't have to go all the way there. Just make the phone call. See if you can get to the first step, which is just inquiry, right? Finding out who this person is, what they offer, what kind of questions do they ask me. Here's a great clue for me if I'm working with a great coach. Have I gained some insight that I didn't have before that phone call, yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then I might want to just go to step 2 and see if I can get a little more insight, right? So instead of worrying about the end game, just take it step by step, right? Like Bob Wiley says, baby steps. You know what I'm talking about?
Even baby steps move you forward. Yes. Yes.
And Mike, I would love to comment on some of the things that Heather just spoke about, right? It's about discovery. What you have nothing to lose other than gain clarity. And even then, it's your choice whether you act on that knowledge or not. But wouldn't you rather know what your possibilities are than stay in the remain in confusion, I think is what you said. And I think what steals people's dreams is the fear of making a bad or a wrong decision. Our founder always says, if we knew that we could always make the perfect decision, there wouldn't be a problem with making decisions at all. But don't let the lack of education and knowledge and awareness stop you from, at the very least, exploring what's possible for you. And then once you have clarity, you will know whether it makes sense for you to act on it or not. Worst case scenario, you don't change anything, but now you do it from a point of having a clear perspective and a vision for what could be and maybe what you don't want.
And to follow up with that, Tamara, because I mean, both of you just basically answered not only, why people don't seek out or why they might be fearful of it, but also why not now? You both kind of just talked about, take the first step, right? And then, these are the things that could happen. And so to kind of wrap things up and to just extrapolate a little further, I'll start with you, Tamara. Overall, we talk about, some of the value of career coaching and ownership, but not to take a broad subject and minimize it, but for Tamara, what is the ultimate goal? I mean, it could be, we talked about the start and kind of the journey, but what should be the ultimate goal in seeking out career ownership coaching?
Well, the ultimate goal is to empower and help people reach a point of clarity about what it will take to reimagine and reclaim the life of their dreams, right? So people will come up with excuses. They don't have enough money. Well, guess what? We have made a pledge that if you are willing to invest in yourself, we are willing to invest in you. So don't let money be an issue, because guess what? We are not going to charge you for our coaching. Seems too good to be true, but it's true. So that we've eliminated that barrier. Then the other thing people talk about, well, I don't know about the timing. I don't have enough time. To talk about creating the future of your dreams, if you're going to push it off, I bet you the perfect time will never arise. You don't have to do everything at once. Learn one new thing a day. Invest 1 hour a week to think about what's possible, to dream like when you were a kid. Capture that curiosity about what could be. I mean, you owe it to yourself. You only live once. Why not invest at least a little time in yourself?
Yeah, and Heather, you've like I said, you've got a wealth of experience in this. For you, what do you see as kind of the prize in terms of coaching?
Well, the prize is ultimately change, right? I mean, one way or another, our lives are changed when people ask us the right questions that help us to discover what's inside. And so we should always be on the lookout for change, because guess what? Change is all we have, right? This world is about change. And so life is a mirror. Everything in our external environment, our experience, is a product of our past thinking. So if everything you have right now is exactly what you want, then fantastic. There's still probably more out there in terms of possibilities, so you might want to keep looking. If, on the other hand, what you've got currently in any way doesn't meet your needs, or isn't everything that you ever wanted it to be, or maybe is everything you ever wanted it to be, but you're sitting there wondering, like, is there something more? Like, there's got to be something more. If you're asking yourself that question, then I mean, you have nothing to lose to just start to explore it, right? So if the mirror of life is not reflecting everything you want, it starts with your thinking before you take any action. What is it that's gotten you where you are, and what sort of thinking will take you to a whole different possibility? And a great coach, like a career ownership coach, is somebody who can help you get there. I actually happen to know they have an amazing process that they bring people through. So I don't know. What do you have to lose?
It sounds like you brought up "What About Bob." It makes me think of Dwight Schrute looking for a new career, and he says, "There's nothing on my horizon except for everything," and that's what you both make it sound like. Like, no matter your situation. Again, we started off, Heather, talking about as a lawyer in a big time city, and you knew that wasn't it. Like, to some people that was everything, right? But you knew that there was more. And I mean, now you're living the sunny life in Florida, and Tamara, obviously, you've been doing this for a while, so I mean, you've seen the benefit of this. So,
Working with a coach has forever changed my worldview. I mean, I feel like one of the luckiest people on earth. I feel there's an abundance of possibilities, options, and I think everybody has a dream worthwhile pursuing.
And
yeah.
I've worked with multiple coaches, and I wouldn't be where I am today without that. I'd still be sitting in my high rise building in the city of Chicago. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I had an entrepreneurial dream. I did. I didn't even really know what that meant or what it looked like, but thankfully I found people who could ask me the questions and help me find that path. And I tell you what, I would never look back.
Well, for whoever's viewing this, our viewers and our listeners, I hope you appreciate the insight here, because this has all been free. I feel like I've learned a lot here. So I want to thank you ladies so much for joining us. It's been Heather Christie. She's an executive and leadership coach and the president of Evolve Global, along with Tamara Loring, the chief of brand ideology for the Entrepreneur Source. Thank you so much for joining me today, ladies. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it.
Thanks, Tamara.
Thank you.
All right. My name's Mike Tober. You've been listening to Your Career Revolution, presented by the Entrepreneur Source.